Welcome everyone to another episode of our Facebook Live. Thank you all for joining us. Whether you're joining us live or watching the recording, we appreciate your eyes and ears. My name is Maria Mejia. I am the accountant and co-creator of your Financial Success Matrix. And with me today is
David Pataki, and I am, yes, co-creator as well of your Financial Success Matrix, something that I'm having a lot of fun with Maria. Very smart woman. I'm glad she's working with me.
Well, thank you so much, David. It's great working with you as well. So today on our Facebook Live, we want to talk about one of the 7 costly tax mistakes, and that being, do you remember what it is, David?
Yes, missing or incomplete information on your tax form.
Yes. And so it is very easy to miss or have incomplete information on your tax return. So make sure that you've double checked to qualify for all of those, tax credits or tax benefits. And if you're using kind of just 100-foot view here, if you are using an accountant or another tax preparer, make sure that you've updated any information for the year with them. So let's kind of deep dive on that thought a little bit. David, have you ever had any issues, or are there any things you've gotten notices from the CRA saying that they needed updated information? Have you ever been faced with that?
No, and I'll tell you, one of the main reasons I've always used a professional tax preparer for when I did my taxes, for not that exact reason, but that's definitely one of the things I wanted to make sure that I had covered, because I hate doing forms for a lot of reasons, but one of them is to make sure that I don't miss something, right? Because you can read it, misinterpret it, or just simply overlook it because you're reading it a little bit too quickly. So that's why I personally have always used a professional tax preparer. And that's likely why I have not gotten any issues from CRA.
Well, that's good to hear. There are many situations where you'll need to update the CRA. So, they the same as we say in the States, Big Brother is always watching. The CRA is always wanting to stay up to date with your life. They are, that one relative that you keep updated even if you don't want to, because, you're polite like that. So if you have,
I thought it was Uncle Sam.
yeah, Uncle Sam, he's Big Brother. I don't know what the Canadian Mountie equivalent would be. I gotta think of that. I gotta think of an equivalent. That way that can become the new Uncle Sam for Canada.
Yeah, maybe Uncle Bob. I don't know, something.
Uncle Bob. I don't know. What's a really Canadian thing?
Well, Bob and Doug McKenzie, very Canadian. You probably don't know anything about them, but
I'm not Canadian enough. Anyways, we'll say Uncle Bob. Uncle Bob wants to, be updated with you. So make sure you keep your address updated with them. Usually when you file your tax return, they want to know where you were living, your location at the end. So on December 31st, where exactly was your home address? I know a lot of people move between, the end of the tax year to when they actually file their taxes, whether that be, 6 months or 2 years down the road. Sometimes you don't remember. So try and, at the end of each year, try and write down, okay, I was living at XYZ address here in Ontario. Because they want to keep that up to date, because, if they don't know your address, they can't forward any checks or any other notices to you. As well as if you had children during the year, if you had one of those late babies where, it was a December 30th baby, well, you're able to claim the child tax credit for the year. And that way everything's up to date. So make sure your kids, the names, as well as the ages, your address, and things like that. Just basic contact information is updated with them. That's a main one.
Yeah, for sure. But I would think there are a lot of other things that you could miss on there, like tax credits, or I know you've talked about other stuff in the past or in future conversations, with medical expenses and that type of stuff. So I would imagine that's pretty easy to miss or not be able to know what the proper thing to put down if you're doing it on your own.
Yeah. So for those types of credits, so, David mentioned, the medical and the charity ones are sometimes overlooked because, we pay for, the prescriptions as it comes, and then we don't think about it at the end of the year when it comes to filing our taxes, where we donate to our church or to another charity, and we don't think about it for a while. And so having a record, this is why it's good to, track your personal finances. Then you'll have a record to easily look back on. But having some kind of documentation somewhere that you can look at each year saying, okay, I had, my child had the flu this year. And so we had to, buy antibiotics prescriptions. And this is about how much it cost. And so if you are regularly going to one pharmacy. So like for our family, we go to Shoppers all the time for our medication. You can either call them or log on to their online portal and get that exact information of, who was the medicine for and how much did it cost. And so it's really good anywhere that you donate. Another example is my church. We have an online portal where we can look up the exact donations for the year and for prior years as well. So if you can try and find out wherever you spent money or donated money at, see if they have an online portal that you can access each year. And if not, try and make sure that they do send you those tax slips at the end of the year so that you're not missing those pretty crucial tax credits.
For sure. That's definitely one of the things or one of the bigger things that you're going to miss. And even if you do have, the wrong address on there, that could screw up as far as getting your return back, or sorry, not return, but your tax back, but also can interfere with getting informed with any kind of future communication, especially if you don't have my CRA account set up.
Yeah.
If they're trying to mail you something to let you know that they're missing information, or even we get to the child or the tax credits, that could be an issue as well, right?
Yeah. And so with kind of those other ones like the child tax credit, making sure that you have the receipts for any child care that you had to, put your kid in because you had to work. Those summer camps, they count as well. So keeping those, that way you can claim them on your tax return. Something specifically for Ontario for the past couple of years is, keeping track of how much rent or property tax you paid, because you will get a tax credit for that. I know other provinces have their other tax credits as well. So, communicate with a professional for your specific area, because there are, credits that here in Ontario we get, whereas like other places like Quebec don't get, or they get some that we don't. And so it's always good to, if my rule of thumb is if there's numbers on it, you got to keep that and then give it to your accountant at the end of the year.
Nice. Good word of advice there.
Yeah. Anything with numbers, give it to me.
Anything with numbers. Yeah, but it's interesting to, when you start out at the beginning of the year, I don't really track the medical expenses and stuff. And that's an interesting thing to keep in mind, because, we're a fairly healthy family. So we're not really using too much of the medications or the antibiotics or that type of stuff. But it does add up, right? If it's $50 here, $100 there, yeah, there are so many other medical expenses to consider that you should start tracking it from the beginning, and then at the end of the year, worst case scenario, you don't have enough that really makes an impact. But if you end up having enough that makes an impact, you're kind of kicking yourself that you didn't keep track of all the expenses over the year.
Yeah, especially if you have a family, you have children and things like that, it can really add up very quickly. as well as, making sure that you are claiming everything you can if you are self-employed or if you have a side hustle. That's something a lot of people miss out on if they sell like Scentsy on the side or Tupperware on the side. They don't think of that as an actual business that needs to be reported with the CRA. But the thing is, there's so many expenses that you can claim if you do decide to claim that side hustle. You might only make a couple hundred or a couple $1,000s for the year, but did you have a room in your house where you stored all of your products? Did you have a specific office space in your house? Did you have to use your car to, transport your product or to give your service somewhere? And so tracking all of those, very, daily expenses, as it were, ones that we don't really think about doing. We just kind of think of it as, the cost of living, whereas in reality, it can also be used as the cost of doing business, and that will help decrease your taxes significantly.
Right. Yeah, again, that's another important reason to be at least in conversation with a professional tax preparer. There are a lot of things to be considered, and there's a lot of false information out there as well. I don't want to, beat a dead horse here as far as, talking to a professional tax preparer, but just because your neighbor says that you can claim all the food and all the clothing that you paid for and all that type of stuff doesn't mean that it's actually legally acceptable to do that. So you should consult a professional before you actually take their advice.
Yeah, especially since, not every two family is different. So what they can claim on their tax return might not necessarily be what you can claim on yours. For example, I have one person who, they have a dog, but they keep a lot of equipment in their shed on their property. So the dog is considered a guard dog for that equipment. And so they can claim some of the dog's expenses. Whereas like I own a dog and two cats, but I can't claim them on my tax return because I can't say that my cat that hates me is guarding my stuff. That doesn't necessarily work. So, like David said, talk to a professional, see what qualifies for your specific situation.
I thought for sure your cat could be a guard cat.
I'm pretty sure she doesn't like me, so I don't know if she'll let people take stuff. So,
Well, wait a second, but maybe the cat is the bodyguard to your husband,
she does like my
and
husband. So,
but I don't know how you could factor that into the business. But
I don't know. Well, we'll think of something. Brainstorm. Look through the CRA documents and see if what we can claim there.
Well, we'd have to get David on board as an employee first, and then he can claim the cat as a bodyguard. I don't know.
Now you're giving a preview of a tax mistake that we'll be talking about later. Come on, David.
Okay. All right. Yeah, no, it's very important, again, to make sure you have all the correct information on there for a number of different reasons. Communications, you don't want to delay your tax return because if you have misinformation on there, either they have to send send it back to you for clarification, or if you don't have even for direct deposit, if your account information isn't correct, or your address to receive a check isn't correct, that's delaying you getting your well-earned money back into your own hands.
Yep. So double check everything. If you're not sure if the CRA has, your correct information, log on to my account. You just go to canada.ca and go to my account, log in there, look at your personal information, your personal profile, and they'll have the address on file, the direct deposit information on file, as well as if you qualify for any tax credits. And if you feel like you do qualify for a tax credit, you can apply directly on there as well.
Awesome. Great advice. Hopefully everyone can learn something from this. Make sure that you cross your T's and dot your I's.
Yep. So thank you so much for joining us, and make sure that you are not applying for, oh my goodness, so that's the wrong word, but you have signed up for our workshop. So David is doing a workshop in, I believe, 2 weeks, and I'm
February
doing
7th.
Yep. about how to, as it says right there, ready to crash 2022. So little tips and tricks on how to prepare yourself for this coming year. And next week, I will be doing one on business taxes. So whether you are self-employed or incorporated, it is definitely one that you want to be in.
Yes, Maria has a wealth of knowledge and experience. So if you want to check that out, make sure that you are doing your taxes right. Or if you have any other questions, you can ask her during that presentation.
So thank you all for being here. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and share this. If you have any topics that you want us to cover, shoot us a message either on Facebook or on Instagram, and we will be sure to address it in our next video.
All right, until next time.
Bye.
Bye.